Hello, good morning everybody. I am Dr. Jetling Yellow sir, Professor of Law, and I am running a channel called Law Speeches, in which I am posting the matters pertaining to law and other social and economic issues from time to time. So I request all of you to subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. If you feel those are good, like it and share it among your friends and relatives. Today we discuss or deliberate a an important act Indian law is concerned, that was framed about 16 years back, and that has been working very efficiently and magnificently. So that is popularly known as a Information Act. That is the Right to Information Act, and shortly we can term it as the RTI. So the RTI Act was enacted by the Parliament of India on 15th of June 2005, and the act was came into force from the 12th of October 2005. So before going to in-depth analysis of the act, first of all, I would like to focus upon the history of the act. You know, freedom of speech and expression are a basic tenet of the human rights. Without that, we cannot survive. That is the reason the Universal Declaration of Human Rights document of 1948, under Article 19, incorporated that right to information is essential thing. And I quote here, everyone has a right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information. So, everyone in the world has a right to have to expressions and opine and to get the informations. So, without this, the no society will be called as a perfect society. And the International Covenants on the Civil and Political Rights of 1966 also speaks about the essential thing of the having the freedom of speech and expression. So it casts a obligation upon the parties to have to make it into their domestic jurisdictions and make such a laws that its citizens should have the right of freedom of speech and expression. In the if we goes on to observe the international scenario, way back in 17th century, 1766 itself, the Sweden has enacted it as a right. In Finland, it is 1951. In USA, 1966. Denmark, Norway, France, and Netherlands and Austria, they enacted the Information Acts in 1970s. And Thailand and Ireland in 1979. Canada, Australia, New Zealand in year 1982. Bulgaria in 2000, United Kingdom in 2005. So as and today there are around 100 countries, they have this kind of information acts. So because of this, in our country also we had enacted this act in 2005. So before to that, when the constitution was being made, at that time the lot of debate took place, because during the time of British regime we had suffered all kinds of discrimination, including the denial of the freedom of speech and expression. So the forefathers, constitutional makers, legal luminaries of those time, they wanted to provide a absolute freedom to us. So that is the reason we have the fundamental rights have been included under the part 3rd of the Constitution of India, in which the Article 19 specifically provided for the purpose of the freedom of speech and expression, of freedoms. So certain categories of freedoms have been enacted and enumerated under the Article 19, right of freedom of speech and expression, freedom of association, freedom of residence, freedom to form associations, freedom of momentum, freedom to have the occupation, business, or profession. So these freedoms are there, but right to freedom of speech and expression is there under Article 19(1) and A. As you know that, also Salmond has stated that every right also gives us the corresponding duties. So rights and duties, they run together. You cannot violate the other's right while discharging your rights, while exercising your rights. If you does, it is nothing but that is not permitted. So we have in the same manner, and the fundamental rights also been restricted in our country on number of grounds, and the freedom of speech and expression also been have certain shortcomings, certain checks and balances are there under this Article 19(1)(a). And in addition to that, we have in the Britishers were ruling us, they came out with the Official Secrets Act of 1923. There, whatever things which are happening in the government cannot be revealed. That is the main motto of this act. So, it created a shadow upon the functioning of the governments. So, in the democratic polity, the shadow should not be there. The people should have right to know. Transparency should be there. Accountability should be there. So, with that view, and also the Supreme Court, which is the apex court of the land, in a cases called Bennett Coleman Company versus Union of India, All India Reporter, 1973, Supreme Court, page number 106, and also People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India, All India Reporter, 1997, Supreme Court, page number 568, emphatically stated that right to information is a fundamental right which is incorporated and enumerated under the Article 19 of the Constitution of India. So it is a duty of the state to provide information which has been sought by the public from the public authorities. So judicial judgments in one hand, in other hand, the public momentum was started. Why we should have the information? We want to know how the governments have been functioning. That movement was started in 80s in Rajasthan. And because of the Boeing pressure to people's movement, the Rajasthani government and also Kerala government, they came out with a state acts, information acts. So things have happened in like a way. Finally, the government of India to have a transparency should be there in the administration and accountability should be there. So with that view, it has enacted a momentous act in 2005, and this act has been empowered the public citizens to know how the government is functioning. So old notion of government should be in secrecy, government should be, affairs should not be revealed to others, has gone into dustbin. You know, this act is basically having 30 sections and divided into 6 chapters. And this act, section 2, which provides certain important definitions, some of the definitions we will see here. That is section 2, definition of the information. What does mean by the information? So it defines in these words, and I quote here: information means any material in any form, including records, documents, memos, emails, opinions, advices, press releases, circulars, orders, logbooks, contracts, reports, papers, samples, models, data, materials held by electronic form, and information relating to any private body which can be accessed by a public authority under any other law for time being in force. So this is be called as the information under the Right to Information Act. So everything is added here. Traditional to modern methods of collecting information which is there in the hands of the state, and whatever method the state functions, all those things have been included in the section 2. And it is, we can say, a exhaustive definition is provided with regard to information is concerned. Then again section 2 clause number J provides what does it mean by right to information. I read and quote here. The right to information means inspection, taking notes, certified copies, obtaining in any form. So, it may be a written form, whether it may be electronic form, or it may be whatever form which required from the applicant. It may be any language. Suppose applicant wants information not in Hindi or English, he can seek information in Telugu, or he can seek information in Urdu, he can seek information in Malayalam or any other language. Even suppose he needs information in Russian or German language also, he should be given of such information. By translating the information, he should be given of that information. So the duty is there upon the state. Maybe he may be, some has to pay certain fee, that is immaterial. But in whatever form information is asked, that same can be supplied to the applicant. That is there under this act. So, other important section of this act is section 3. So, section 3 talks about all the citizens have the right to information. Information can be sought by citizens. So, foreigners, they have the no right of seeking the information. So that means that non-citizens have the no right to seek information. Only citizens have the right to seek the information. And this is also clarified by the information commissions from time to time. Then the section 4 speaks about the proactive information. Means every public authority should provide the information in proactive manner. Without asking, they have to provide the information. That means they have to, in modern forms where electronic forms are there, they have to exhibit, they have to in their websites, what is their organization, what are their functionings, what are the aims, all those, how it is run, all those day-to-day activities, everything should be uploaded into the websites that be called as a proactive providing of information. And the act is stated clearly that within 180 days from the date of commencement of this act, this proactive information should be made of by the each public authority. So it is a compulsory on part of each public authority to have this. So that is the reason almost all the departments, whether central government, state government or any other public sector undertakings, every department which is run from the exchequer of the public, they have maintained this sort of arrangement. Then the section 5 provides that there should be a public information officer. If the central government they have been called as a CPIO in the state government, SPIOs, state public information officers, and in addition to the public information officers and state public information officers, they have the APIOs, assistant public information officers. They have to assist the public information officers. And the public information officers should have to provide the information within 30 days. That is there under section 7. Disposal of information or request is concerned, 30 days is a maximum time limit which is provided to them, and in case of the matters pertains to life and liberty of individuals, within 48 hours the information should be provided. So this is the time under section 7 of the, if within time the information is not provided, then the applicants are entitled for free of providing information, free of charge. And also public information officer is liable for non-providing of information under the penalty provisions of this act is concerned. Then section 8 is another important section where certain exemptions have been provided for non-disclosure of information is concerned. Because all the information cannot be given, because of public law and order and security of the country is concerned, certain information cannot be parted away. So with that view, we have the section 8 is there, in which there are matters which pertains to sovereignty, integrity and security, strategic and scientific, economic interest of the nation, the information cannot be given under this act. And this section 8 also further says that if a information is forbidden by any law or tribunal or courts or contempt proceedings are prohibited to be revealed, that cannot be given. Then information pertaining to the breach of privilege of the parliament, state legislatures, that can also be, cannot be, members of them cannot be revealed. Then the section also says that information pertaining to commercial confidence, trade secrets, intellectual property rights which are registered with the government or government agencies, they cannot be revealed. Then it goes on to say, if the information is given basing upon the fiduciary relationship, and such information cannot be revealed to the public unless there is a public requirement is there, a warrant is there, then such information can be parted. Then information received from the confidence from the foreign governments, that also cannot be revealed. That is also be there under section 8 of this act. Then section 8 also, this act also provides that the information which endangers the life, liberty, physical safety of any person is there, then it cannot be revealed under this act. Then this act, section 8 also speaks that if the information pertaining to investigation also cannot be revealed, cannot comes under this act. While investigation is going on, you cannot claim the information. But after completion of the information, after filing of the investigation, you can claim. But while things are going on, you cannot claim. That is there under this section 8 non-disclosure clause is concerned. Then non-disclosure clause also provides the cabinet papers, cabinet briefings, cabinet meetings. That also been prohibited for non-disclosure, or any personal information also being cannot be parted under this Right to Information Act. Then another important section we have to know, that is the section 10, severability. You know, in an application there may be some information which can be parted, some information cannot be parted, which comes under section 8. Then the public information officer has to provide the matter which can be parted to public, and he has to decide whether what should be given or what should not be treated as comes under the section 8 of this Information Act. That will be called as a severability, which provision is provided under this act under section 10 of the act. Then another important section, that is a section 11, third party information. So the information pertains to third party is information which is basically does not belong to the government, but it is there in the hands of the government. So that is called as a third party information. So third party information is asked, then the public information officer within 5 days of receipt of that application, he has to give a notice to the such a third party, stating that certain application has come for your information which the government or authorities are holding. What is your opinion whether we should have to give or not to give? Then the third party, the person against whom this notice is given, he should have to respond within 10 days. He has to express his opinion to give or not to give, either to give the consent or not. And after within 40 days, the public information officer has to decide to give the information of the third party or not. If it is a published disclosure or warranted is required, then he has to give the information, because public interest is a paramount in deciding the aspects. So that is the very section 11 is a very important section. And in addition to that, if the information is not provided within 30 days of the application is made, then the applicant has a right to prefer an appeal, first appeal. The first appeal always within that organization, and that appeal should be within 45 days when his application was rejected. From date of rejection to 45 days time limit is there. If it is more than 45 days, he shows the sufficient cause, it can be again be considered. The second appeal is there. We have 90 days. When the first appeal is disposed of, then you can go to the second appeal to state commission. In every state we have the commission is there, information commissions are there. There you can file within 90 days, within 3 months of this petition. Even beyond the 90 days also be permitted if you show the reasonable grounds for delay. That is there. And if the public information officer failed to provide information intentionally, then he is liable for punishment up to 250 rupees per day, a maximum 25,000 rupees. And he is also liable if he providing the false information or fabricated information. So he should be very careful and diligent in providing the information to the public. So this is, we can say that the Information Act is a very powerful tool in the hands of the public. You know, for the effective functioning of this act, in addition to the administrative appeals, we have commissions have been constituted at the state level as well as in the national level. In the state level, we call it as a state commissions. In national level, we have the national commission. When the appeals at that organization level, the applicant is not satisfied with the decisions, then he can go to the state level commission, and from there onwards to national level commission. State level commissions are functioning in every state, as well as national level commission functioning in the central government. So members of the state level commission are being appointed by the state governments, and national level they are appointed by the central government. So the members have been appointed from the all walks of life. They be selected and they will be being appointed by the respective governments. Then we have to see some important definitions, decisions of the Supreme Court. We can call it as a landmark decisions of the Supreme Court, like the in a case called Supreme Court itself is a party in this case. That is the CPIO, Central Public Information Officer, Supreme Court of India versus Subhash Chandra Agarwal and another. So the case was reported way back in 2009 and judgment was delivered in 2nd September 2009 by the Delhi High Court. So basically the case pertains to declaration of the assets by the judges and whether it should be given to the public or not. So basic upon that, the judges have been declared the High Court judges and Supreme Court judges have been declared their assets they are holding, liabilities they are possessing, and these are there in the hands of the Chief Justice, and the petitioner Subhash Chandra, he wanted to have the resolution of that collection of information by the assessed information by the Supreme Court's Chief Justice, but his request was rejected. Then he went to appeals, and there also the Central Information Commission passed for the disclosure of information, but again the Supreme Court Central Public Information Officer approached the Delhi High Court, and Delhi High Court has stated that yes, if the application is they are the public authorities, they are working for the public, so the information can be parted away. So the objections raised by the Supreme Court was rejected. Central Public Information Commissioner was rejected in this case by the Delhi High Court. Justice uh, then we have some more number of important judgments or landmark judgments have been there, and some of the judgments are in a case called State of UP versus Raj Narayan in 1975, 4 SCC 428, very long. At the time of emergency, national emergency was promulgated under Article 252 of the Constitution of India in first time. So at that time only the judgment was delivered. That right to information is a basic for everyone. So government should not function in a secret manner. It should function in a transparent manner. Justice Matthew of Supreme Court opined that in that way. Then if you focus upon the some more cases, we have CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education versus Aditya Bandopadhyay, 2011, Volume 8, SCC 497. So in this case, briefly, the facts are that some students have asked the evaluated answer scripts of their examinations, and it was rejected. CBSE rejected that application, basing upon that it is a fiduciary relation, comes under the section 8 of the Information Act, so it cannot be given. And the court has stated that no, there is no fiduciary relationship is there, so it should be a given. It should be given because it is a functioning, public functioning, so it should be given. Then in one more case called the Girish Ramchandra Deshpande versus Central Information Commission and another. This case is reported in 2013, Volume 1, SCC 212. So in this case, whether assets and liabilities held by the government servant should be revealed or not to the public, but the courts have stated that no, it should not be revealed, and it is not comes under this RTI. Then Canara Bank versus CS Sham and another in 2009 case, there also the transfers from one part to the other part where he worked, that should be revealed or not. The court has stated that no, it is not comes under the Right to Information Act. So maybe different viewpoints are there, but the creating or enacting this act as now empower the public to have the information, and where on account they are become the part of the governance. So they knowing, the public is knowing that how things are happening, in which way the governments are functioning. So it became a very powerful tool, just I told you earlier also. Then sometimes the government want to divert this act to make certain amendments, stating that many people are filing the cases, applications, and they're wasting the time of the government. without any reasons they are filing. They wanted to without reason they wanted to have to create that problem, and the government they don't have the resources to meet their requirements. All these are nothing to weaken the act, because when the applicant is making an application for getting of information, he has to pay. Per page, some money is there, 2 rupees per page, and you can take some amount, charge some amount from the applicant, then only you are supplying the information. So, the governments, whatever may be the government, which political party it may be, they should not weaken this act. You know, if you compare the acts of the other European Union countries or America, they are more powerful. We have 30 days of time is there here, but in America is only 7 days. USA, within 7 days information should be given, but we have 30 days, 1 month time is there. And we have one more provision is provided here, that is if a information before for 30 years, no, it does not comes under this act. That should not be there, because day by day we are making the administration in the electronic forms. Maybe earlier days they have the maintaining in the paper forms. Now we have the electronic forms have come. When it came, it should be, it can be easily preservable. So we have to, at any cost, should not weaken this act. So with this, I am concluding a Right to Information Act, an overview, and I request to watch my video and share and like it. Thank you, one and all.